Hi, my name is Gina Wilson, and I'm a professor of child development and a student of APPA. And today I want to share with you what I have learned about conception, pregnancy, and birth and the psychological impacts. Again, I said I was a professor of child development, but more of what I've learned has come from my own two boys, Wesley and Will. They're 2 years apart and much bigger now. But it was really the story of Will that got me interested and uh, curious about pre and perinatal psychology. Will was born at 35 weeks due to a medically necessary C section, surgical birth, because he had vasa previa and placenta previa. And so while it was needed to save his life, it was not the ideal birth experience and was traumatic for both him and I. And Will was talked as a very young age, talked in full sentences when he was 2, and gave me a little bit of insight that maybe other children wouldn't be able to about his birth experience. So when he was 2, he laid his head on my belly and told me that he wanted to go back in. I asked him if he came out too soon, and he said yes. He said he came out too fast, and he was angry about that. And he said he was angry at me. So that was a lot to take in, but it helped me to realize that he was aware and that what happened then could still be impacting him later and today. He was a pretty difficult baby and toddler to take care of. And I think a lot of that stemmed from the trauma that he was carrying from very early on. So, my goal and hope is to share what I have learned in our experience so maybe others can approach situations a different way. So, that's how I got my start into learning about birth psychology with APPA. And I was curious about this. I saw it firsthand. And a lot of this information, even though teach in child development, hasn't made it to our textbooks. So this was information that I needed to learn from other sources and to dig deeper on my own. And I came to be very well familiar with now prenatal and perinatal psychology and all of that it entails, and how important all of these things that are listed are in for our babies, for their health, and for their social and emotional and psychological well-being as they get older, as well as the families, the mothers and fathers and caregivers of the children. So this dug my interest into the study and doing the pre and perinatal educator, and the experiences of my own children, other children I've worked with and cared for, my studies in child development, as well as with um, APPA, have led me to want to share you the most important things I think all everybody should know, but especially new parents and those who are surrounding new mothers and new fathers and families. The first 1,000 days are more critical and important than many people ever give them credit for. And so hopefully this new information can be more widespread so everyone can know that at no point, other point in the lifespan, does the brain grow as rapidly as it does from conception through the age of 2. Life and learning is all about feelings, voices, faces, images, and gestures for these young ones, which are all stored in implicit memories in the brain. That means they might not directly be able to remember and talk about them, but they are part of our bodies and we remember everything that has been experienced in one way or another. Depriving babies of a loving family environment causes lasting damage to their health, cognitive, social, and emotional development. So the unborn baby is already making expectations, anticipations, and adaptations for life outside the womb. They're trying to learn about what the world is like and what it'll be like when they enter. Everything that the pregnant mother does affects her baby. And these early experiences can affect a person's physical health, mental health, their reactions, emotions, and behaviors as a baby, as children, and even as adults. How a mother even just feels and is thinking in her own thoughts can affect the baby. Babies are very in tune to their mothers, and her attitude towards her baby, her thoughts and feelings about her baby, they affect the cells and how they develop, as well as how the baby will feel about itself. So there's this quote: if a pregnant mother's thoughts and emotions are persistently negative, if she is under unrelenting stress, the internal message delivered to the developing baby is it's a dangerous world out there, regardless of whether or not that is objectively true. The baby's nascent neural cells and nervous system development will thus mutate to prepare for the unsafe environment into which he anticipates to be born. So our cells are trying to decide, is this an environment where I need to do whatever I can just to survive? Or is this an environment where I can really thrive? We want to create those really thriving environments for children. But we can't ignore that that doesn't always happen. And children and babies, they're participating in the trauma. And especially during pregnancy, there's participatory trauma where the baby is experiencing it along with the mother and family. Sometimes we get this idea that the womb is this protective baby that shields them out all the toxins, all the stress and trauma of the real world. But that is not true. As William Emerson said, unborn children participate in the biological and psychological experiences of their mothers, and that indirectly includes their fathers. The baby's brain is bathed in the same stress hormones the mother is producing. Negativity and domestic disputes, toxic stress can all put the baby into survival mode instead of maximizing growth and potential. Studies have found that unwanted babies were physically healthier than unwanted babies. Unwanted babies are at higher risk on every level of development, including their sense of self, cognitive development, and immune system functioning. Sometimes we look at birth and we think all about the birth process and everything that mom and the doctors are going through, not remembering that the baby is actually an active participant in the birth process and should be valued and included. Mary Jackson, a certified professional midwife, quoted, "Yes, so often we leave out the baby. We forget about the baby, and that's a big part of what the journey is all about. But so often the connection with the baby is left out of it. The baby's consciousness is fully aware, and they work right along with the mother by burrowing their head, finding their path of least resistance, and pushing with their legs, and really knowing inside themselves that there is a need to go somewhere. And they're working right along with the mother to do that. Yet often we just talk about what we're doing to the baby and to the mother, not including the baby in the actual process and valuing their role. Bonding and secure attachment is important at every age, but it really starts during pregnancy and birth, and especially in those sacred hour afterwards and first few months and years of life. So early bonding and secure attachment is essential for healthy development. This is something that we do know. But babies are wired to be close to their parents, especially their mothers. They depend and rely on her not only for food, but for love, warmth, comfort, connection, self-regulation, and stress regulation. The last one is one we sometimes don't remember. Babies deprived of secure attachment can experience detrimental effects on all areas of development, including having fear and anxiety, disassociation, inappropriate social behaviors, and impaired cognitive functioning. We want to build this secure attachment, and we can do so with things like skin-to-skin contact, breastfeeding, comforting when they cry, consistently meeting needs, making eye contact, holding space, showing love, talking and singing. And these things can begin in pregnancy and during birth and immediately after, and then be continued for the rest of the 1,000 first days of life and beyond. So, what can we do? What can parents do? What can educators and professionals help guide parents to do? And really, the biggest part, we can't control all circumstances and aspects of the medical part that might get in the way of birth, a very natural birth. And we can't take away all the stresses in the world, but we can do our best to value from the very beginning. From the beginning, we want to be seen, heard, loved, and understood. And if we can come into the world with that happening, what a great way to begin. From Mary Jackson. So, looking at what can we do from these very beginnings, these various earliest moments of parenting and the very livelihood of this unborn baby and newborn baby, what can we do? Well, first off, just to bring the baby to us, there are things to boost fertility. Have you ever heard of a couple who's um, been trying to get pregnant, and then right after they adopt or do a surrogacy, the pregnancy happens? Sometimes the stress of just trying to get pregnant was a factor for that infertility. So reducing the stress can always be a big one. There's some other tips and suggestions. Make space for a future baby in your mind, in your home, in the time frame of your day. Communicate with your partner, practice relaxation techniques, and work on healthy habits together. You're creating an environment that is welcoming and appears ready for this baby to join. For conception, the mother's health and behaviors affect the baby's development before she even knows she is pregnant. So don't wait for a positive pregnancy test to prepare for a baby. Uh, Eat a healthy, balanced diet and take the prenatal vitamins. Mom and dad should both quit drinking, smoking, and drug use. Exercise, get enough sleep, reduce stressors as much as you can, and visualize your future baby. Talk and welcome your baby to join your family. Create space, both literally and figuratively, in your home and in your life for baby. Sometimes conception is taken by surprise, and maybe it wasn't the what you thought would be the right timing or the best situation. Even the earliest of fertilized cells may be impacted by negative environmental messages of being unwanted or too big of a burden. As these cells duplicate, the message is written into all cells of the body. Unwanted and pregnancies perceived by the parents as traumatic are more likely to result in pregnancy and birth complications. But you cannot fool the baby by trying to hide your feelings, as the baby feels the energy from mom and dad and those others important caregivers around them. So talk to the baby, let them know your concerns and that they have nothing to do with them and their soul, and that you will work through these challenges. In a pregnancy, it's really important to reduce the stress as much as possible. When mother's heart rate and stress hormone levels increase, so do the babies. The fetus hears and feels some aspects of the outside world and is learning if it is a safe place or a scary place, and it needs to adapt for survival. So, surround yourself with people who promote calmness and will nurture, love, and protect you. Lighten your stress load as much as possible. Surround yourself with people who will nurture, love, and protect you. Talk to baby, acknowledge them that you are going through tough times and that include them in the stress relief practices. We can already role model some of that emotional regulation. Some other tips and things to do to bond and teach your unborn baby. We don't need to, read them medical journals and hook up all these special devices, but it's really the simple and things like talking in a soft, loving voice, singing and dancing. Listen to soothing, peaceful music together. Vivaldi and Mozart have research results behind them that they are some of the best. Playful, touchful movements with the baby in the belly. Visualize your baby and wait for a response. They might respond after you're talking or tapping, and give them that chance to do so. Think about ways and plan for ways to have the most peaceful birth as possible. Babies are aware and are an active participant in birth. The memories of the birth are held. So, birth trauma can be experienced by mom and baby. Interventions, medications, coming out too quickly, feeling stuck, feeling sick can cause problems with health, breastfeeding, bonding, and temperament. So, really encourage all to plan your own educated decisions. Don't just rely on your doctors, nurses, the hospital, or your mom. There's a saying, if you don't know your options, you don't have any. So, really investigate what those options can be. Avoid as much interference with the natural birth as possible. Have continued loving support throughout the entire birth. Talk to and visualize baby during birth. Demand skin to skin contact with the newborn. Talk to the baby about the birth experience. If you can process it together, sometimes that can resolve, even if there was trauma, that talking through it, it can be really helpful for healing. Nurturing a baby for resilience and prosperity. Here's a tips that for after the baby's born, things that you can continue to do. Create environments and values that honor and accept. Accept help, graciously accept help. Someday you'll pay it forward to someone else. Allow time to process. Tell babies what you are going to do before you do it. Pause so they have a time to process that and understand. And move a little bit slower and gentler. Babies' nervous systems move a much slower rate than adults, so give them time to understand and prepare for the touches and the movements around them. Talk to baby in the good times and the hard times. Let them know what is happening and what may come next. We can't hide and keep secrets from babies. They, on some level, really know already what's going on. So, including them in the process and letting them process and heal with us can be helpful. Give your full attention to honor the baby and know they are worthy of your whole attention. Show it with your eyes, body language, and touch. Move a little slower and gentler. Put away the phone and act as every interaction is sacred. Take care of yourself. You can't adequately take care of someone else if you don't take care of yourself. So let others help you. Find ways that you can help yourself in your own healthy ways and stress relief. I want to end with something that I saw here on Instagram, and it showed a post by the account Curious Neuron, did a poll of 111 adults and asked them what they wish their parents would have done more often. And so on the list, the top ones were I wish my parents would have blank more often, told me they loved me, connected with me, helped me with my emotions, played with me, told me I didn't have to be perfect, made me feel safe, skipped to being present, loved one another, and worked on themselves. So look at how many of these things can be done while the mom's still pregnant, while mom and dad are just first expecting during those 1,000 days. So many of these things we can already do. We can already tell our unborn baby that we love them and connect with them. We can already help them with their emotions by acknowledging and processing our own and talking them through. We can play with them and we can tell them they don't have to be perfect and make them feel as safe as possible. We can be present for them, love one another. So we're showing them that's safe and that's the way it can be, and keep working on ourselves so we can be there for them. Thank you so much for watching. And I hope that there's some valuable and useful information that can help you and others as we bring more children into this world. Thank you.